don't think we need to swear in though, because they're
I don't
not
think
they're
we-
not that type of body. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what I would do other than, because I last time wouldn't even talk.
Maybe just roll call if they, as far as the
And then
all of the
who,
recommendations.
well, and then I don't even know who's coming because it's never a full, like, it's never the direct, it's always,
I don't think there's gonna be too many people.
and then here's packets. I printed packets, I don't know who else would need them. And then here's agendas.
You are equipping people on WebEx?
I don't think nobody sent me anything for WebEx,
Oh, okay.
so no.
Felipe, I was gonna give you a hard time this morning.
What's that?
Remember when we were talking the other day about parking?
Huh?
And then I was like, I park in the same spot all the time, and then I was like, I've never really paid attention to your truck. So I started looking. Well, you took my parking yesterday.
Okay. The one where that little triangle is, like right there? So you drive like the big brown SUV?
No, I drive a GMC Terrain, like right under the tree. And after lunch, you park like you were.
Oh, okay, yeah, I mean, I know it's the part.
So me and Priscilla were laughing because it was so funny. I'm like, that's it. I would have to call and give him crap. I said because I was telling him I didn't know what vehicle it is, and then so you started parking.
I made sure you knew that was me.
You started parking like
Right next to you.
yeah, right next to
The
you.
second one right off
Which
the
I like it because then it's like I know nobody gets on and off of that side.
side,
So I don't
yeah.
get hit or anything. And I used to let him work with me suspension. So like he would reverse it too, and then like our car, I never use my passenger.
And then
And,
yes, it.
and so it was perfect. And I was like, so when I saw that it was me, I'm like, oh, good, he's having a perfect. So then I told Teresa, I'm like, oh, it was cool, but now he's taking the parking.
Now I'm getting too carried away.
Yeah.
Well, that's good enough.
Yeah. I guess I'll have these out whenever, or should these go on the front counter, the front table out there?
The agendas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it. sir, I have.
Good place. Hey, it's going down. Oh, I want you and Andrew to destroy how the wind has screwed everything up. We gotta pick up all that trash and everything, get the property looking clean again. And, that's what you can work on for now. But, I told Ally I want that to get done, and then I wanted to call and get that dumpster taken out as soon as we get the trash in there, so it doesn't turn into a huge mess again. Cool, gracias. Will you do me a favor, go in my house and all that stuff that's on the counter for the chickens, will you go give it to them? Awesome, thanks. Adios. Bye. Good morning. You want to eavesdrop on this DRC meeting, or do you have something to give details after we're done? Exactly. No, I'm recording. Amen. All right. This is prior to going to commission. Yes, exactly. No. They might. Right. Adios. Bye.
Good morning. This is the Doñana County Development Review Committee. It is 9:12, Thursday, February 17th, 2022. We'll start the meeting. The first item is the approval, or actually approval or changes to the agenda. Are there any changes?
No changes.
No changes? Second item is approval of minutes.
Motion to approve, Rene Molina.
Is there a second?
Michael Garza, second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
So approved. So the next item will be new business, item 3A, case number SD 21049. It's a summary administrative subdivision plat. And the reason for this meeting is that the applicant is requesting a modification. And that's what I'll be presenting today.
Art, before we begin, can I call roll? Sure. Community Development, Christina Ainsworth. Here. Flood Commission, Michael Garza.
Here.
Engineering Department, Renee Molina.
Here.
Fire Administration, Philip Ray.
Here.
Thank you.
Good morning, committee members, and thank you for being here today. So the next item on the agenda is a request for modification to the thoroughfare requirements, section 350-602, and appendix D, section D 103.4, fire apparatus access roads. Sorry about that. Just a quick background on the application. So the owner applicant representative, the owner is Michael Livingston with Western Heritage Realty LLC, and the representative is Mr. Anthony Gutierrez with GEM. Location is 104 South Highway 28, and the existing zoning is T2 rural. Property size is 18.68 acres, and there are existing structures on 2 of the 5 proposed lots. And part of the lot extends into the El Paso County, Texas area where access is located. The request is a modification request to the thoroughfare requirements for property located in a T2 zone district. And the applicant is requesting a summary administrative plat under the type 3 subdivision. And the applicant is proposing 5 3.6 acre lots within DAC jurisdiction. Again, access to the property is from El Paso County, Canutillo, Texas, Farm Road 259. Water, wastewater, based on disclosure statements, it's based on a well service, sewer, electric, gas, and irrigation disposal is the responsibility of the purchaser. So the modification requirements, first section is 35402, the DRC. Review committee shall review the following matters associated with subdivision applications prior to review by the zoning administrator, P&Z, or BOCC. And those are modifications to subdivision requirements. And then following that would be 35104, administrative authority. The P&Z would review deviations, modifications, or alternative designs to subdivision plats. This is the thoroughfare required for a T2. It's a rural local with 24-foot pavement width, 4-foot shoulders, and parkways. So Chapter 350 DAC Unified Development Code, thoroughfares, Section D, right-of-way and thoroughfare requirements. Table 6.7, rural use zone thoroughfare cross-sections require a rural local for the proposed subdivision in a T2 zoning district. And then based on fire apparatus access roads, Appendix D, Sections D103.3, turning radius, and D103.4, dead-end fire apparatus access roads. And then these are the actual cross-sections of the dead-end access turnaround roads. This is the subdivision plat, really quick. So again, the applicant is proposing 5 lots, each at 3.65 acres. And again, part of the property is within El Paso County jurisdiction. And finally with that, based on the request not meeting the applicable sections of Doña Ana County Code, Chapter 350 Unified Development Code, specifically Section 350-402 and Section 350-104, modification requests submitted in International Fire Code Sections D103.4, dead-end roads, and Table D103.4, requirements for dead-end fire apparatus access roads. Staff recommends denial of the modification request. With that, that completes my presentation unless there's any questions from the committee. Did you want to hear from the applicant?
Yes, let's go ahead and hear from the applicant.
Good morning. Anthony Gutierrez for Michael Livingston. Basically, the only deviation we're going from, we can satisfy the fire apparatus turnaround. We have one drawn in. But first, before we go on to that, I want to just draw out that there is no affect to the parcel in Texas. I replied this morning to Jorge in that email that you sent, and sent them a snip showing that we're not modifying the parcel on the Texas side, that if and when we come to some kind of agreement on the roadway improvements, we'll submit for, the appropriate permitting through El Paso County for that little section of roadway modification that'll happen within that lot. But the parcel boundaries for this replat or summary do not extend into Texas. So there's no submittal to them as far as for subdivision or anything like that. So that, I want to clear that up first. Second, the fire apparatus turnaround, we had put one in there based on other ones that we had worked out with Art Herrera. And so this 40 by 10209 was what we had put in there, but we can easily modify that to satisfy whatever the code is. So we can work together with you on that to make sure that that meets. Do you have any kind of feedback on that? What you would prefer to see in this area?
Yeah, so-
Hammerhead, round, bulb?
Looking at your property lines and stuff, we're looking at over 1,000 feet to the furthest property.
Okay.
Per our fire code and what Doña Ana County's adopted, seeing that, we're gonna have to install another one. So there'd have to be 2
That's fine.
fire turnarounds. But another thing that wasn't mentioned in the slides that we're looking at is the fire flow for the area. Okay. I understand the nearest hydrant is on the New Mexico side, but it's about 300 feet away. So that's possibly going to be looking at with, if your guys are able to meet fire flow, which is for an area like this is 1,000 gallons per minute for an hour, then we won't have to worry about the additional hydrants. But being that it's over 1,000 feet and still 300 feet from the nearest one, there's going to be a possibility of us requiring more hydrants. A way you can reduce that is by requiring that each home built on there is going to require their own kind of sprinkler system. Another way is adding its own individual or private holding tank, water holding tank that provides for hydrants in that area.
Sure.
But again, that's another thing that I want you to keep in mind and keep in consideration when you're thinking about this is, we're going to require possibly 2, or we are going to require the 2 turnarounds and the addition of possibly some more hydrants in the area because, the properties are pretty large and still a long ways to the end of the property. So, and then where is that line going to come in from? Is it coming in from the Texas side, New Mexico side? So those are things that we need to address.
Yeah, there might even be a possibility. We haven't checked on connection possibilities from the north side. There's also some utility up there, but I'm not sure. I do want to make it, put it on the record, though, that Art had promised us an answer in August on that, and we're getting it in DRC right now. That's an issue for my client. And, I blew up Art's phone, trying to get an answer from him on that. It's a big deal to wait this long.
It's understandable, and I know he's been stretched thin. The position that I'm currently in was created because of situations like that. So hopefully we can between me and Artie, we can work together and get things pushed out a lot faster. But
Did you go out and locate that hydrant yourself, or was that from Art?
I'm sorry?
Did you locate the hydrant yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Because there is one right across the street on the Texas side,
Mhm.
but it's, closer than that, but.
Right, and that's the thing, we need to figure out if we're able to access it as far as,
Okay,
and that would be something that you need to look into.
And I'm sorry to the committee, we're only looking at the modification request as part of this meeting. All the other issues can be resolved through comments and stuff sent to the applicant. But what we're only looking at here is the modification request.
thanks for the info, though, it's good info. As far as the modification of the design standards, we're still going with a 24-foot wide section based on the soils report and the design recommendations from the engineer that was hired to do the analysis. He submitted a surfacing schedule that doesn't require any paving to meet the 75,000-pound requirement. Based on that and the subgrade preparation, the amount of base course on the top sheet, I did a hand-drawn proposed section with 6-to-1 ditches for collection of water, 2% slope lanes at 12 feet wide with 8 or 6-inch base course based on the table, and then the 6-inch subgrade separation. That's what we want to do, just center it in the easement, and that is what the client is going for as far as modification. So the modification, really looking at the design standards, is to just remove the paving section, but still improve the roadway so that it does satisfy the weight requirement for fire apparatus, safety vehicles, as well as just usability of the road.
I think, Michael Garza, Flood Commission, I think one of the things that's missing that I would like to see on our behalf is if there is a typical swale section, it seems like the homeowners on each individual lot would have to be crossing this swale section in order to get to and from the lots, same with emergency vehicles. 6-to-1, it's flat enough, but I would probably recommend a typical driveway section or things like that as to not, obstruct the flow or to block any sort of retention or anything like that. Another thing is, I'm guessing the swales are basically sized based off of what is the remainder of the right-of-way section, I guess.
There should be a foot left on each side.
Yeah, and just, I would just like to know if the site or because it's flat, so it's gonna be storage of water, if it's enough storage from start to finish, if it's gonna retain 100% or more.
Based on the analysis, he goes into that. Let me give this to you, Michael, just so you can go through this.
Yeah, okay. What page is that?
Anthony, I want to emphasize that the report that was prepared by Southwest Engineering was only for the roadway, and there is no really reference to the design component, what you've presented.
Right.
Doesn't reference swales.
No,
So
he just talks about drainage.
Right, so what Michael's referring to is an analysis indicating that the swales are of large enough capacity to retain the whole storm that is being considered. It's something that will have to be submitted on the next review.
Correct me if I'm wrong, if there's no surfacing on this, it's considered a pervious design, correct?
Yes, but there's a change to the curve number,
Right.
And so there's got to be some consideration made. So that's all I think that's
Yeah,
what
we can, do- we
Michael's
can, we
referring
can,
to.
we can definitely do that, and the only thing we're really after is getting rid of the paving. And he really does for two reasons. One is maintenance over time. We don't know how fast these lots are gonna sell, and the paving sits there. It goes bad if it's not driven on. Second, he's trying to appeal to, and most of us know about this, a lot of clients we get are very green focused and want to know, hey, what's happening with the water? Is it going back into the water table, stuff like that. And all these lots will have to go through and get their own development plan as they develop. And so on-lot ponding will be there. We can have David Bolschweiler is our consulting engineer on this. We can have him for sure. We're just trying to get the modification to remove the paving is really all that we're
Yeah,
deviating.
and to be clear, I don't have any concerns with that. I think there's plenty of room. It would just be, because like you said, each homeowner's gonna have to go to get individual permits,
Right.
which will go through our office. Our staff has to be able to look at this subdivision and know what is being asked of the applicant and making sure that their submittal is complete.
Absolutely.
And that's, just making sure that, are they allowed to block the driveway? Do they need a culvert? Are they allowed to modify the 6-to-1 swale capacity? All those things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from what we've talked with David about and with the client, I mean, we don't want to put, with a 6-to-1 at 12 feet, I mean, that's a foot. We got foot deep ditches basically. And I, from my standpoint, having it one driveway per lot within that, I think we can make up the drainage either by maybe making the western ditch a 4-to-1 instead of a 6-to-1. I think there's options for David to consider as he goes through to make sure we retain the right amount.
Sure, and also, I can't really read the notes super well just on this scale, but adding a note because it seems to me that the easement's going to be within the property line, so I would assume that the property owner would be responsible for operation and maintenance of the section that's in fronting their lot only, not,
He wants to develop an HOA, to go with this whole thing. The people that are interested are, equestrian, it's all equestrian minded.
Yeah.
It was used that way prior to, they farmed it a little, but the whole thing is set up right now. The buildings that are on the lots are all for housing horses.
Yeah, just a note would be fine, just, in case lots get sold or whatever, different property owners, it's always helpful to have.
So Rene Molina with engineering. So there's multiple things here. I understand what your client wants to accomplish. Makes sense. On our side, we were very particular when we actually went through the UDC. We rolled it out to many groups, agencies, citizens, the whole county. There's a lot of emphasis on reducing maintenance as much as possible. There is consideration too, as well, to those that want to go green. There's pervious concrete, for example. There's pervious asphalt. There's other mechanisms that are available. What is being presented is labor intensive for maintenance. So I want you to keep that in mind and make your client aware of that. In itself, I don't take issue knowing that it's going to be a privately maintained roadway in perpetuity. And there's got to be language within the plat. There has to be a roadway maintenance agreement that is it's signed by and authorized by your client.
Right.
Because ultimately, they will be the responsible party. As lots get sold, that's something that will have to be conveyed. We need to make it very clear that it's in perpetuity. I don't believe at this point in time, an access road like that would be of benefit to the county because it doesn't contribute to the roadway network. That being said, in looking at the report presented by by Southwest Engineering, there are some deficiencies that I see. And I will say that those will have to be addressed. For example, on the pavement design parameters, we do not do 10-year designs. They have to be 20-year. Pavement reliability, we don't allow 50% reliability. That's basically saying 50% chance that it's going to actually make it through the design period, and it's not acceptable. Also, and this is definitely stuff that could be corrected.
Yes,
We're
yeah.
willing to help out as much as possible. In regards to construction recommendations, there's reference that this report is in compliance with the design standards when it's not. So that verbiage would have to change, because in order for it to be in compliance, we would have to see a 2-inch asphalt layer that is not there. So moving forward on my side, I'm ready to provide a recommendation, but I also want to give others the opportunity to discuss. So at this point, I'll yield. But I'm willing to work with you guys, work with Paul or David Bushweiler. Definitely, you'll have to submit some construction drawings to reflect what is going to be done. And there will probably be a need to provide some analysis drainage-wise as well.
Sure.
And clearly, there's got to be a good, clear indication within the disclosure statement identifying what type of maintenance intervals and requirements would be set forth for this type of roadway for your modification request.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, can I ask one follow-up question on that? As far as the construction docs, on something of this specific, since it's just for the road, would it be enough for plan and profile and just roadway sections? We show maybe the adjacent lot lines intersecting with that alignment? We talking, do you want to see the whole subdivision as part of that, or just the road would be good enough?
So in my opinion, I think the roadway is critical to it, but there's some components that need to be reflected on how this roadway ties into
Yes.
the lots, which I think it will.
Yes.
You're gonna have to show portions of the lots and
Right.
identify them, but yes.
Okay, excellent.
Other thing that I should have mentioned is definitely your client will have to secure a permit from whomever maintains that roadway.
Yes.
And that's something that, although it's outside of New Mexico and in Texas, but it is in our purview. And I believe that's something that's critical, a critical component that provides legal access to this development.
Right, right. No, I agree.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
I don't have any comments from the planning department specific to the modification. As you know, our concern is with the access from Texas. And, legally, we can't approve the creation of lots that do not have legal access. So we need to see that there is a dedicated easement on the Texas side.
We can definitely do that. I think, like I said before, I just want to make sure, before we grant an easement and make a permanent easement across a parcel, we'll make sure that we have an agreement on how we're going to move forward with the actual construction of the road. And if the client wants to do it or not after we get there. But yes, he owns this parcel in Texas, so it is part of his ownership right now, but it'll be sold as a complete lot, just the way it is, with an easement, as a separate document across that, so that it has its own, kind of like connected to the rest of the development.
Are there any other comments from the committee? If not, then I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, Renee Molina, I'll make a motion to move forward with this modification request, knowing that the applicant will be working diligently with staff to get it to the position where it's an acceptable modification for a roadway that in perpetuity will be maintained by the individual property owners or an HOA or a group.
Michael Garza, second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, so we will move forward with I would call that a conditional approval, with the applicant aware that there are certain items that still need to be addressed before we can move forward to the next level. Since we do have, well, I guess we have a few more minutes. Is there any staff input at this point from anyone? Okay. I see no one else from the public in attendance, so I will go ahead and adjourn at 9:36. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.